everyone. Welcome to the 420 Smoke Room. Today, our guest is Trey. How are you today?
I'm just living the dream. How about yourself?
I'm great. So I'm gonna let Trey introduce himself because he's got his hands tied into quite a bit of things, from dispensaries to breathing meditations to several different things. So I'll let you kind of start off and tell people what exactly it is you do currently for a living.
So, my name's Trey Gee. I am the owner and founder of Bloom Cannabis Co. here in Oklahoma. We have dispensaries here currently. We're looking to go vertical and partner in a grow and everything right now as well. Working on setting that up. But I offer free meditation classes at my dispensaries right now. Just kind of doing a little bit of coaching and just helping people to become the best version of themselves. I've been on a spiritual journey myself the last couple of years and into an awakening of who I am and have found freedom and peace. I'm a 100% disabled veteran who struggled with PTSD, ADHD, diabetes, all sorts of shit, And but I have worked on myself and been working on healing myself through an inward journey, and that's just kind of where we're at today.
That's amazing. And, on top of all of your disabilities and struggles, especially after serving for our country, still being able to come back, snap back, and open dispensaries and get on your feet and just being able to live a functional lifestyle, I just really think that's amazing. And I just wanted to give you your props on that.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was definitely a journey. Luckily, I've been blessed to be a Sagittarius through and through, who has kind of been an optimistic guy from the get go. Just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. But it's once I started to realize that everything is like any trauma, anything like that you've been through, it still just comes from within. It is still just an inside you, and you can work on those parts inside you and find that freedom and peace of the deeper part of you. Um, and it's just been. I'm so grateful for every minute of it. You look at that, and you think, oh my God, it's trauma, trauma, trauma. But if I hadn't experienced it, I wouldn't be me today. I wouldn't have uncovered myself had I not gone through hell. And it makes me think of a David Bowie quote. Like religion is for people who believe in hell, but spirituality is for people who have been through it. And that's kind of where we're at. That's kind of what we did. We did trial by fire, and we went to the dark places and found ourselves. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I like it though. I really do. So I want to ask you a little bit about. I know you said you served. I know that was like in your younger days, and you developed some forms of PTSD and anxiety from that. So I kind of think since that's one of your first humps, we should kind of start there and work our way towards present. If you want to help me develop a timeline for everybody. I can't recall where exactly what department you served in because I talked to so many veterans. It's hard to remember who was where and when. So yeah, let's kind of start there.
So I was in the United States Army. I went in 2001. I went in September 4th, 2001. So exactly 1 week into it is when 9/11 happened. I was there on a Ranger contract, so I was going to be an Army Ranger. I went through basic training, airborne school, and then straight into a program called RIP, which is now called RAS, but it was Ranger Indoctrination Program. And then from there, I made it to battalion, but they had just opened up where you could try and go special forces as an E4 or below, which is just your rank, pay grade. You used to have to be an E5 or above. So
And
because
at that
yeah,
time when you first started serving, if I recall, you were young. How old were you when you first got into the army?
I was 19 years old. I had just left a full academic scholarship behind to go serve my country because I didn't know. I was a pharmacy major at that point in time, pre-farm, and I didn't really enjoy it. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I was blessed and gifted to be an intelligent young man, but I was trying to just use my brain to get through things instead of my heart, and I wasn't really following my passion. I was just trying to do something where I would be successful because I wanted to take care of my family and stuff, but it wasn't really my calling, you know.
Right.
And so that's when I left and decided to go the army route. And after trying to go special forces, I finished my time up with the 82nd Airborne. I went and I did one tour in Afghanistan. I was infantryman, and this was the very beginning of Afghanistan. So we were some of the first people over there.
Oh yes, and we didn't know what we were running into, especially the first couple sets. If I recalled
Oh,
correctly, back then I was young myself. Um,
yeah,
I was in like ninth grade when 9/11 hit.
there you go. I was in basic training when it hit, but like I
Yeah.
said, but that was one of the wildest experiences. It was actually during our first live fire training exercise, and we're sitting there throwing rounds downrange, and all of a sudden they're like calling out ceasefire and calling us back in. We're like, what the heck happened? Did somebody die? This is our first live fire exercise, and we're getting called back in. What's going on? And then I'll never forget, them just rolling the TVs in and like sitting there and playing it all for us. And they're like, boys, you better take your training to heart because you're gonna be using it. And like our first real live training exercise was that night in basic training because like 27 different people went AWOL trying to get out of there and leave because a lot of people had just signed up just really not thinking they'd go to war, just
Yeah.
trying to get college money and stuff.
Right.
Like,
For so many years, we hadn't had anything major happening in our country. It was kind of like a way to go to college, get some free tuition, get some room and board, and hang out with the fellas. And then now that war is hitting, now it's time to call y'all to duty, and they're like, "Whoa, no, 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 no."
yeah, and it's funny, even though all these guys that signed up to do infantry, it's like, why are y'all the guys running away? Y'all are the guys who signed up to do the fighting job. Did you not think the fighting job was going to do some fighting? But
Not at
it was
all.
it was wild, and so like we ended up catching everybody and bringing them back in, except for like two people, and uh, that was an interesting experience. But from there, we just continued on with our training and moved along, and that led us to going to my choices after the special forces training. I could either go to Italy or I knew the 82nd was going to Afghanistan, and I volunteered to go to the 82nd and go to Afghanistan because that's what I'd signed up for. My grandfather was a World War II, Korea, and
So you
Vietnam
were all
veteran.
ready for war. You're like, "Let's go.
Yep, I was wanting to prove what kind of man I was. I wanted to
I'll go
serve my
first.
country.
I'll lead the way."
That's it. And it's funny because that had been what my grandfather was, and then my sister was a Marine. My brother was in the Navy. We were already. This was a family thing for us. We believed in serving our country and uh, protecting people and doing right, which I still believe in all those things. I just believe that our country does a lot of things for all the wrong reasons now, and so that's kind of my mission now. Is helping spread the way I feel about it, of how we can improve things and how we can better take care of our soldiers, because we don't need to be sending soldiers to die for pointless wars. War is something that, let's be honest, we shouldn't be having anymore, and it's just governments that cause it. Like, the people of this world don't want war, but the people who are in control, they make a lot of money off of war.
Right. And I don't think they
So,
realize what's at hand when you're truly sent to war. I've only heard stories from my own family that have served. I've never been on any form of any of that type of military, army, navy, none of that. But I have had family that served around the same time in 9/11, and my cousin, like, her and her fiance broke their arm and leg just to get out of there because things were so crazy, and you had to be injured to go home or you weren't going. And they didn't really realize how much you're out literally in the desert in these buildings just with guns and shooting for days, just with on end, not knowing what tomorrow is going to hold or what's around each corner. And then there was
yeah,
children bombing, with bombs and guns, and you didn't know if the kids were safe or not. You didn't know who to trust and who not to trust. civilian wise, and it was literally each person for their self, man or woman. And then when my brother served, there was a lot of things, too, that he come home, and he came home with the same opinion you did. After going in at a young age like you and serving for many years, he developed the opinion that the government doesn't always do what's best or argue or fight over, like, we're going to war half the time and fighting and bombing things that don't even make rational sense at times, or we don't even know what we're bombing. Like, oh, there's a bridge, we're going to blow the bridge up, but we don't know why, we don't know who's going to be on the bridge, we don't know, none of the intel until it's too late or over with, but yet we played a role in helping get that taken care of.
And a lot of times you're doing these things blind. And like so we were a pretty elite unit, and we were sectioned off. And most of my time in Afghanistan, we actually spent supporting a CIA group and a Delta Force group and a Navy SEAL team. And so we're out there, and literally the vast majority of my job that whole time was we were confiscating drugs and guns. We were protecting poppy fields. Like, I don't know exactly, didn't get it at that point in time. I didn't see, why are we out here, covering these poppy fields? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But when you realize that they're involved in the pharmaceutical trade and they're confiscating that opium for that reason, and then they're confiscating, weapons to send to third world countries and do the things that they do, these covert operations that, really don't benefit humanity in a great way by any means, but just benefit an agenda of the powerful and the elite. And it's time that we put a stop to that type of thing. It's time that we start, evolving as a society. We continually do this. Like, look how far we've come in the last 2,000 years, let's say, just like even since the times of Jesus, where it had been normal to stone people and things like that. But now, let's progress further. It's about time to be done with war, period. Like, we don't need that. And we see the government right now trying to hold on and cling a war. Let's take Ukraine, for example. It's not even, it's a proxy war. It's about trade and oil. It's not about a freedom of a people. It's about a corrupt government doing trade and war. And
It's all about
it's time,
monopoly. Who
yeah,
can get more of this and that to better take control of this or that, or let's bargain this with that with this party in this country so we can get this from that country, or
yeah,
it's
it's
literally
resources.
monopoly all
That's
over.
all it's about. It's about resources, and it's not about people and benefiting people. And that's where when you and I talked last, although no one else got to hear that, unfortunately,
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about my possibly running for office, and that's why I kind of feel that calling is because we need people in office who are going to serve the people, like who aren't just serving their own interests. And this two-party system we've had in place for this long is just about keeping people divided so they can continue on with the things that they're doing. If we are pitted against one another, then that's our enemy, not these people who are manipulating us. And that's the flaw of the system I see right now, is people aren't trying to work together to make things better. And so we need to get people in office that are actually, wanting to do what's right for people and work for what's better and make the easy changes that we can make as a society to just
You're
further
100%
our
right.
evolution.
You are right, and it's not about the people anymore either. I definitely feel that, and I feel like most of the laws were written hundreds of years, like 100 years ago, and we've done change, like you said, stoning people or this, that, and the third, and we've done change so many laws over the years, but we haven't changed our war laws or our, like, government laws of those kinds of, like, what we can and can't do during war and when and how and why, and how we don't help. One of my biggest things is I think that everyone that goes to war, when they come back, needs some form of counseling and, hey, are you okay, let's pat you on the shoulder and watch you for a while and make sure you're okay, because you might think you're okay, but you might not be okay. Who knows? Let's find out,
100%.
and I think that the mental health is, like, completely overlooked, when it comes to all forms of government, services, whether it's Army, Navy, Marines. None of them have a great as soon as you come back, you should have to do 6 or 8 weeks courses of this before you're reintegrated back into society or back on another assignment or before we can call you to your next battle. Like, you need to recover from this battle.
Yep. And I will say it is honestly leaps and bounds better than when I was in. Even just you take that 20 years and you look at it, and for me, it was like exactly what you're saying was a real struggle. I got separated. I got kicked out of the army. Even I was a fantastic soldier, but whenever I came back from Afghanistan, I was a hot mess mentally, and I went out one night right after we came back, and apparently, that old saying, strippers and blow is a real thing. That's all I'm saying. But like, I got out and I got drunk one night, and apparently I did cocaine with some strippers, and I honestly don't even remember doing it. Had no idea. Like, I failed a urine analysis on, like, this was on a Saturday night, and I failed the UA on Monday. I barely failed it. Like, I didn't even know that I had done anything. Had I just drank some water, I would have passed, actually. But I didn't even know I'd done anything. So then I get separated. And, it's funny because that was actually the most, it's so weird to say this, but my biggest PTSD was honestly from getting kicked out and feeling like I had failed myself, my family, my country, everything, and I just was so down on myself. I went on such a downward spiral from that. Like, I drank myself into a stupor for years. I'm not saying that the other stuff didn't impact me, but it was honestly not the things I had done.
Well, I had a question. Where were you located when that happened? What base, like, where were you based out of?
I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay, never mind. My first thought was over in Korea. There's a lot of crazy things when you leave the base, and at first I thought maybe you were drugged. That's why you don't. Because who does cocaine and doesn't remember? Like, the first part, I could see possibly what you're saying, but then my first thought was, wait, I've heard some other types of stories from men who have served, and when you leave the base, men can get roofied, and wake up with a missing kidney, or
that wasn't me.
and I was like, well, maybe these strippers had other plans at first, was my thought when you started telling the story. You said you didn't remember. But then North Carolina here, that's not like even a thing that's taken place here in the United States. That's why I asked where you were stationed first, but I couldn't help but not share my thought with you.
Let's be clear, if you want to know how that went down, like, legitimately, I just returned from Afghanistan. I turned 21 in Afghanistan, right? And so I had come back and, needed to unloose and unwind, and I was kind of talking to one of the girls who worked at Sid.
Okay.
And we went out and we got really drunk that night, just hanging out with them, and I hadn't drank, period.
In a long, long time, I'm assuming, while you were serving.
Yeah, I had not drank at all while I was in Afghanistan, and then I also had not seen a woman, and, these were my priorities then at that point in time was like, let's go have a good time and see some pretty gals, and that's all I was trying to do is unwind and enjoy myself.
Okay.
But you don't make the right decisions when you've just come from being on a place that's, such high alert, and you're tense and ready at every given moment, and you're finally back in this situation where you're trying to be a normal human now. You're trying to not be on high alert.
Right. Mellow out, chill out, sit down, quit watching your back.
Yeah, and I drank too much and made a stupid fucking decision. Like, that's it, but I was just drunk, and that's that. I made a bad decision when I was drunk that I didn't even remember making, and blackout drunk, because you got to think at that point in time, it really wasn't for me, it wasn't a drink to have a few drinks and unwind. It really was a let's drink to forget everything.
Right, right. So at this
Yeah,
point, I'm no longer who I'm supposed to be, and who knows
yep,
where the night's gonna go. And when I wake up, and where I land, and we'll
yep.
do it all over again maybe tomorrow.
Yep, and that's that's how it's unfortunate that like people in the military can't use plant medicine because that's the only option they have to self-medicate is alcohol, and so it becomes a big problem in the military. A lot of people become alcoholics because that's our only form of release of self-medication. Because, like you said, we didn't have those. They don't teach you those skills to cope with this stuff. So, what skill did they teach you? I can fucking pound some alcohol. Jesus, this is a talent, and so that's where it goes in that situation. And so I became an alcoholic. I formed that dependency with that medicine, and it was a form of self medication for me to just drink myself to sleep at night, so that we don't have to have dreams, so that we don't have to see the things. And like I was saying a little bit earlier, it's not the things that I did that haunted me so much, but the things that you see, like for example, like my biggest trigger for PTSD for a long time, other than the shame of getting kicked out, but like we were just pulling guard duty on a front gate one time, and we're giving water out to the locals, and I'm standing there, and there is a man with his 4 or 5 year old child walking up just to get some water from us, fresh clean water. And as they're on their way there, the dad steps on a landmine, and it blows his leg and arm off and sends the kid flying. Somehow, luckily, that child didn't have a scratch on him. But I was a combat lifesaver, so that's what I see, and then I have to rush out and treat that as well. And then the afterthought of shit, I didn't even look to see if there was another mine on the ground. I just ran out to freaking help this guy. And the little
Right.
things like that stick with you, and
Yeah, that's the
there's no
realization of the
real way to
war.
unsee that.
Like the
You
people
know?
don't realize when they're signing up that that's really what it is. That's war. Um,
Yeah.
and that's the part that we need counseling for when we get home. The things that we, the watching your shoulder, the things you see, the things that just the anxiety, being on 10 and hyphen all the time. So how was it that you were able to overcome that and all of that together as a whole? Like, how is it that you got into cannabis and opened these dispensaries and became who you are?
So after all that, I dove into alcohol for about 10 years. I was a pretty bad alcoholic, and I didn't have any motivation or any goals for anything really at that point in time. I didn't know who I was. I just drank and partied and ended up getting in a little bit of trouble through that. I got about 13 public intoxes and 4 DUIs. I was a drinker and a fighter. I was angry. I was unhappy. I was angry at myself more than anything. Is what I learned now, but it's that's a realization you come to further down. But so on my fourth DUI, I was fortunate enough to have a judge who had a fondness for veterans. I was about to go to prison for that fourth DUI. They had just changed the laws here and were being really strict on it. And they were looking at sending me to prison. And I sat there and, I just asked if I could speak to the judge myself. And he, when I spoke to him, he asked me about, and I told him about what I'd done, how I was, military, infantryman, combat lifesaver, all that stuff. And, he said, I'm going to do you a service for your service. And so he sends me to mandatory AA every day for 2 years and told me I had to get out of the bar and restaurant industry and find a real job or he was going to send me to prison. And so thankfully I found a career in sales at that point in time. And the 2 years of AA was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It allowed me to start finding God again in my own way. That's one beautiful thing about the 12-step program is like it's not that strict religious thing, but it's about finding God in your own way and being able to give give that up to a higher power. And so that's kind of started both my journey towards spirituality again, and then also it just kind of it got me out of that scene. Yeah, moving that job actually is how I met my wife as well at the time, or my ex-wife now, which was the best thing that happened to me. And I had kids and everything. And at that point in time when I had the kids, that's what really got me to start working on myself, because I didn't like the way I reacted to things, and I saw things there that, like, for example, when I had my first son, my biggest trigger for PTSD ever, and I never would have expected this, but my son had a shitty diaper, and I had to go change it. And I opened up the baby wipes, and it took me back, because when we were in Afghanistan, I spent 6 months out in the middle of the nowhere where there were no showers or anything, where all I did was clean myself with baby wipes every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the smell of baby wipes took me right back, and I had no idea that was going to be the case. And I couldn't even change my child's diaper. Like, I was having a mental breakdown there, and just the anger issues and those things that were eating me up, they continued on. So I had some friends. It was still illegal at that point in time, but I started using cannabis just to take the edge off, because I didn't want to drink, but I needed something that helped, and I didn't like any of the medicines that they were trying to give me at the VA. They made me feel like a zombie and not like myself, and like disassociative in a way.
I hear that very often with antidepressants or PTSD or anxiety meds or any form of mental meds that they make you feel like a zombie or make you feel off or like a robot, no mood, like no happy, no sad, no.
And that's what they're doing on purpose with that. But that's the thing, is that we forget that there's a spirit to treat too, honestly. But like, that's treating a mental issue by just trying to numb that mental issue, and that's going to cause effects elsewhere, because you're not treating the issue, you're just numbing the effect of the issue, right? And so that's one thing when I found cannabis, like, and don't get me wrong, at first I abused cannabis too. Like, I was just trying to get high enough to forget it, basically. But it did have the effect of just keeping me level, but still feeling connected to myself. And that was a beautiful change. But really the biggest work in healing that came to me. So we continued on that path. I was doing real estate. I was I had gotten tired of corporate America and all that, so I stepped out on my own to try and do real estate. And I was working a part-time job, selling mattresses and doing real estate at the same time as well, just trying to make ends meet. And my focus in real estate was in helping the cannabis industry, because at that point in time I'd become such a big advocate for it, and I'd been studying. I'd been helping my cousin, who was an epileptic. We'd gone from where she was having 30 plus seizures a day to I don't even know what, but like helping her in that foundation, and helping myself medicate for pain and for stress. And I had found a love for the plant and for the medicine, and so we started. I was focused on my real estate on actually helping dispensaries and grows and everything find spaces, because it's so challenging because of how the laws are here, and because of the stigma. A lot of the landlords, especially here in the Bible Belt, were like, no, we don't want cannabis in our building. And so I was focused on that, and the more I helped people, the more I realized that I actually cared more about this medicine than a lot of people, and that I cared more about patients and actually medicating and seeing it. And I just found a passion that I wanted to be in this. Like, I saw a lot of people that were just in this for money, that just were just trying to make bucks on it. And I was helping them find these places, and I showed a space to a group one day, and they were like, no, this isn't the space for us. And it just felt like the right space for me, and I just prayed about it. Talked to my wife at the time, and was just like, wouldn't this be great? And this was, I just kind of left it to the universe. universe said, hey, God, this is what I really want to do. Can we make this happen? And like literally a week later, I got approved for my disability. I got approved at 90% at that point in time disability. And so I got back pay for that. And so on a leap of faith, I took all of the life savings I had, which was not much at the time. I think I had like maybe $5,000 or $10,000 saved up, and then I got $40,000 in back pay, and I took a loan out for $30,000, and said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna try and start a dispensary."
Right.
And so we did, and it was the biggest blessing ever. Don't get me wrong; it's got its challenges too. The government and the laws that the way they treat this federally illegal is, well, to be quite honest, it's bullshit. Like, I get taxed. The government takes more money from my business than I do, which is complete and utter bullshit. And it's just because it's federally illegal, so I can't have any tax write-offs. So, yeah, that's a whole nother mountain to tackle right there. But yeah, so I started that, and then it was going well, and we just kept growing, and then what really triggered my biggest healing and figuring myself out more was through all that. I had cheated on my wife right before all this happened, right? And so we're not only trying to start a business, but we're trying to hold our marriage together. We just took and just poured everything into the business and didn't really work on ourselves. And so I was in a toxic relationship on top of this. Don't get me wrong, we loved each other, but we were at each other's throats. And so it was just getting worse and worse, and the depression was getting stronger and stronger. Even though I had been working on myself and had been getting better, it was like everything came to a culmination point and started to collapse, right? And so at that point in time, that's where, and like, I was given PTSD all the control in the world, like I'd really claimed it. It's funny how actually getting approved for the disability and realizing that I really did have PTSD made me start claiming it more and made me start getting more and more depressed. And on top of that, I was a diabetic, and so I had uncontrolled diabetes, and it was a vicious cycle of depression, not taking care of yourself, getting to a point where I just wanted to die. Like, I was in an unhappy marriage, I was in an unhappy spot in my life, and I really wanted it to end. Like, I was about to become one of those numbers, And fortunately, I had been listening to podcasts like Joe Rogan and stuff, just trying to improve myself in many ways. And I'd heard about other plant medicines like ayahuasca, DMT, and things like that. And so I knew that I had to improve myself if I was going to survive and be there for my kids and be there for everything. So I signed up for counseling at the VA, and I started trying to find these other plant medicines that I could do, like psilocybin or DMT or ayahuasca, and I finally found some. I found DMT. It was the first one that I found, and I sat there and I waited, looking for the perfect time to experience this, right? Because I wanted to be in a good mindset and everything, and then instead of finding the perfect time, I found the perfect time that wasn't it at all. But I started therapy one day, and we had to draw up all those things, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the hardest part.
Been burying, right? And I've been burying all that stuff, and it just been sitting. And we start therapy, and I draw it up, and I got home, and I said, now's the perfect time. Now is the time to try this. And it was such a profound experience. It was, are you familiar with what DMT is?
I'm assuming you're talking about shrooms?
No, so DMT is dimethyltryptamine, which is actually a more powerful psychedelic than shrooms. It is, but it's also one that's produced naturally inside our brain. Like, it's actually what causes our dreams. It's part of consciousness, really. But It's and it comes. It's the same thing that's in ayahuasca. If you've ever heard of that, it's the same medicine, but it's just the smokable form of it. And it is a powerful connector to yourself and to source and to really to other dimensions. But so it was an amazing and beautiful experience, but it was also just so profound in the way. So I sat down that day after therapy and I tried it, and it was when I smoked it, I started to leave my body and have an out of body experience, right? And it's funny, as I left my body, I was freaking out. I was so scared, like just freaking out. And it's like it asked me, are you sure you're ready for this? And I was like, oh, fuck no, I'm not at all, I'm not ready for this, right? And so it set me back down in my body, and I'm just in my backyard, and I sit up, and I look under the tree in my backyard, and there's a demon sitting there. And I knew at a soul level that that was my demon, and that I needed to face it, that I couldn't sit here and be afraid of it anymore. And so, and it was looking at me like, I'm going to get you. And so I started to stand up. And when I did, it just sat down and smiled. And it was like, okay, you're ready. And then I had an out-of-body experience with DMT. And the experience was so beautiful. It was like a beating of light just came and got face-to-face with me. Like, DMT, you experience this world that is vivid and more real than this world, like extra dimensional. Like there's no real way to explain it, but sometimes Google some DMT art to get a kind of description of the visualization of what you're seeing. But it's like seeing the geometry behind everything and the patterns behind everything, and just this
like in another dimension
world. Yes, 100% in another dimension.
Okay.
And this being came to me and, you know, got face to face to me and just spoke directly to my heart, not using words, but using feeling, and just let me know, you've got to love. You've got to love. And that's all it was telling me. And I wept because I didn't realize until that point in my life that I had never really loved without just, you know, some ulterior motive. But it was a profound experience, and it was really one of the first times I'd given myself love in, well, forever. And it just, that started my journey towards healing. From there, I had also found meditation, and that's the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me, to be honest. Like, it was an interesting trail for me because growing up Southern Baptist in Oklahoma, you know, like it's very dogmatic view of what religion is. And don't get me wrong, like I still believe in the Bible. I just understand the Bible differently than people do now. Like the things that Jesus said mean different things to me than what most people believe. For example, like people think heaven's a place you go when you die, but when you ask Jesus specifically in the Bible, like his response is the kingdom of heaven is within. And that's what meditation and finding that path through, like I had gone towards Buddhist teachings, and like the meditation and the mindfulness were giving me that peace and helping me look inward and face those fears and uncover all those traumas that I had taken on. And, you know, and I was using all the plant medicines. This is, you know, cannabis was my big stepper into meditation. At first I couldn't meditate without that. And then I tried ayahuasca and psilocybin and DMT. All these things were just helping me uncover all the layers of junk.
That you were holding on to, suppressing, and carrying extra baggage and all of it.
And we
layers.
Hold on to that stuff like it's us, but it's not. We're the person, the soul underneath all that stuff. And learning to let go through all that was, you know, the most profound healing for me. And I went from being suicidal and wanting to die and
to wanting to live the best life ever.
And to actually being happy, but the simple fact is to really do it, the only thing you have to do is be willing to take a look at yourself and be willing to look in the mirror and say, this is not who I am. This is just some stuff going on in my life, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to be better. I want to be me, and I found that path, thankfully, and that's what led me to doing these free meditation classes. It's just I found the peace and the freedom of knowing myself in that area, and so I wanted to share that with other people. I want other people to
Yes.
know that they can be happy and be free, and that all these things, like, let's be real, none of it really matters. Like, this societal stuff that we make so important of, I'm got to be this so I can be this. Well, it doesn't work that way. It works by being happy within, and then you get those things anyways. Like, so that's what I try and teach through meditation, is kind of the law of attraction, just working on yourself. Because as I worked on myself and as I got better, better things started happening to me. And I didn't really understand it at that point in time, but I've come to understand the universal law of attraction and everything. And it's simple but hard at first, because are you familiar with the law
Oh,
of
I'm
attraction
very
at all?
familiar, and I've studied many for many years. I love law of attraction. I love the self healing process. I love, just a lot of it. I like Louise Hayes, I think is how you say her name, or Louise Hayes. A lot of her books, they helped me for many years. I love a lot of her affirmations. She also created the Hay House Foundation, as a couple other things too. But she's pretty big in all of the self healing, the meditation, the finding yourself, fixing the overcoming, addressing the problems within, and kind of worksheets and steps and like how to. So I did those for many years. So I'm on the journey now where it's kind of like this is just a little step or here or there, and I'm fixing this, and I'm blossoming into like a beautiful butterfly as I go. I feel like most of my trials and tribulations I've overcome in the last 8 to 10 years, more than I ever could imagine, to where I'm at the point now of actually living my best life, and not my sick life.
I love it, and that's where I'm at. It's just that healing and finding that transformation. One thing I like to explain to people, just for the law of attraction, that I understand that has helped me improve my life so much, is the simplest form of the concept is this: is so when you're wanting to manifest things in a better life and better things, it's all about feeling. We put so much into our thoughts, right? Into what we're thinking and what we're doing. And meditation helps you quiet those thoughts, but more importantly, it helps you raise what you're feeling inside. So what you're attracting to you is based off of what you're feeling. So if you want more money, or you want more, well, let's just go with money. Why do you want that money, right? Well, I want that money because of how it's going to make me feel, because of the things I'm going to be able to do, because I'm going to be happier, because I get to do X, X, X. Like, for me, it's travel. I love traveling. So, traveling and freedom. So, how do I get more money in my life? Well, it's by becoming that feeling first. I am that abundant feeling. I am freedom. I'm joy. I'm happiness. And then those things come to you. So meditation is an extremely powerful tool in that matter, because it stops your mind from thinking about all of the things you don't want to think about, that we give our focus to in the everyday world. We see the lack because it's right there in front of us, right? Like, for me, my biggest struggle was, when my wife and I were going through a divorce, like, and you're sitting there and it's like, I want love. Well, all I saw was a giant lack of love, right? At that point in time. So manifesting love into my life was basically impossible. I pushed everyone away because all I saw was the lack of love. But learning to quiet myself in those thoughts that told me of a lack of love and that I was unworthy because I had cheated on my wife and I had done these, stupid things. Those are just mistakes that people make. That's not who I am. That's a stupid thing that I did. That's not me. That's not who I am. And so learning to let go of those things and feel better and be loved from inside, love myself, and then someone else could love me. Ta-da!
You're like, ta-da! I like it. Yeah. So where can people find your classes? Where are they located? And what are your dispensary names and where are they located for people who want to find them?
So my dispensaries are Bloom Cannabis Co. Here in Oklahoma City. Right now we've got one open in Mustang, Oklahoma, and one in Midwest City, Oklahoma. If you want to do my meditations, I'm going to start posting them online this next week, actually. So we'll be on that, and it'll be on, I do them locally at the dispensaries every other Wednesday at Mustang, every other Friday at Midwest City. I'm going to start sharing them online as well. They're at 8 a.m. We'll just be doing that. I'll also begin offering some of my coaching classes, and I'll be putting my podcast out next week as well. So, yay, we're on for big things this upcoming week.
Did you decide a name on your podcast?
What's that?
Did you decide on a name for your podcast show?
So it will be Healing is in Bloom. It is actually just, that's, I just figured that's been our tagline for our dispensaries forever.
And I like it.
There's no separate part of my life that's different from one or another, so I just wanted to keep it all together. And so Healing is in Bloom will be the name of our podcast. I'll be talking about lots of things spirituality, lots of things cannabis, anything that interests me, and just trying to help people out. You can follow me on Instagram at Trey Gee, TREYGEE _Bloom, BLOOM, or at Walking a Path, which is walking_a_path. Those are my two main Instagram accounts. If you ever want to chat with me, you can also add me up on Facebook. My name's just Trey Gee. I gotta be honest, I don't know what my thing is. And
I'll include links with this for all of those in the bio and when people see it.
You are the best. Yes. Yeah, so from there, and feel free to reach out to me. I'll be offering, just coaching live sessions. I'm just going to set it up on these meditations and stuff where people can donate if it helps, because this is the way I want to take my life, is to be able to spend more time doing that and stepping out of the dispensary more and letting my team really run that. And I want to focus more on just helping people heal personally, and so that's going to kind of be my focus. I'll set it up out there. They're going to be free to everybody. If you like it, if you feel like it's something that benefits you, it'll be a donation-based thing where you can just help me achieve my dream of helping people. And that's kind of where we're at.
I love it. So at this point, how did you develop 3? I knew about the first dispensary you opened, and I know you have 4 altogether. How did you develop the other 3? How did those kind of come about?
It was honestly, manifestation is the best way I can tell you that, because I didn't. All I did was ask for it, and don't get me wrong, I worked hard and we developed, but it was just opportunities just presented themselves, and it was through working on myself like this, I just felt trust in the universe, and it just happened. My family invested in some of our best friends invested in one, and then same thing for the other, and then we had a 4th one. We sold at our Yukon location, our 3rd location, our original location. We had just had to relocate it, but unfortunately we've had a snafu with the government because of their processes, and now I actually won't be able to relocate to reopen that one at the location I just built out, because unfortunately they've built stupid laws.
Yes, when we spoke previously, there was a law that was holding you up about that school that they put in that church. Whatever came of that?
So I have been officially denied the ability to use that location, because that school was there first, and which is true, but honestly, it's so just to give your listeners an example of how this works with dealing with the government, and this is why I want things to change, because this is how the government treats us in every way. Like, honestly, this government is not here to serve the people right now. They serve themselves, their best interests of whatever they want to do. But like, because the stigma and everything, they make us do cannabis differently. So you have to get a certificate of compliance before you can actually apply for a license. So I have to build out my space completely to get a certificate of compliance, and then I have to apply for a license afterwards. So I built out this space using, mind you, before doing this, I went on their website. I went through the whole application process, used their tools for location to make sure there were no schools or anything near, trying to follow all the laws, being the good citizen that I have become, tries to do everything on the right, on the up and up. Like, I have tried to do everything
By
legally for
code.
the government. Like, I tried to follow all their rules, and there were no schools there. But it turns out there was one that was there, but just wasn't registered on the map. And so I built out this whole space, and then they tell me no, even though I've invested, what, $20,000 of my own money into this space, which, I'm no rich man. Like, this is a challenge right here, but just because the government thinks we need to do things differently because we're cannabis and we're federally illegal, when the entire nation has spoken at this point in time and said, hey, we don't want this to be illegal anymore. Like, but let's be honest, the only reason it is still illegal is because the government makes so much money off of people like me, and because you've got people like the big pharmacy who are sitting up there lobbying to keep it that way, and big canna. You get a lot of people in big cannabis. If you are out there and you are supporting those big corporate cannabis people, take a look at what you're really supporting and what those people are doing. Take a look at what people are putting their money towards, because a lot of them are fighting against legalization because they can corner the market and push out all the little guys that can't afford to do this in this market. Like, look at your big people. Look at what people like Weed Maps actually put their money towards. Some of these people aren't actually out for the best interest of patients in cannabis and what it is. You get a lot of big corporate money that are owned by big pharma that are doing big cannabis. They're not giving you the good medicine that you want to be given anyways. Pay attention to who you're supporting. Support your local cannabis people. Support your local people who love the plant and are doing it. Yes, it may cost just a tiny bit more to go see people like myself or others because we're not as big and we can't do it. But if we consistently keep supporting the big corporate stuff, that's what's destroying our world. Like, that's what's tearing this world apart, is corporations that treat us like we're not even people, that treat us like we're nothing. We can actually learn to start supporting these smaller businesses, and if we do that, smaller businesses could band together and support each other too. Like, change the way we do things. We don't have to cower to these giants who just monopolize everything. Everything's monopolized now.
It is. It's all about monopoly and the money.
We have the power to not support that stuff and to take that back. We've got to say no more. I'm not going to keep doing that, right? And support small local businesses and craft businesses that are trying to do it right so that we can start changing the world and send a message with our dollars. Like, that's it. That's the only way we're really going to impact this stuff, is by telling them, no, we're not supporting you anymore. We're not going to do this. And let's stand up and talk and make the changes. Like, vote for me when I run for office, for the love of God, please, because I just want this to be better for everybody. I don't want...
It needs to be about the people again.
That's it. It needs to be about the people. That's what the government's supposed to be, of the people, by the people, for the people, right?
Yep.
And not of the corporate interest, by the corporate interest, for the corporate interest. Look at where the
and who plays Monopoly best? Who has more pieces?
If people pay attention, you'll see, like, big pharma is investing billions of dollars in cannabis, and so who do you think is going to be talking to these people and trying to make the laws for big cannabis? Who do you think's up there lobbying and actually trying to get it to go the way they want it? This is a plan God gave us that we have the right to, that shouldn't be inhibited in any freaking way. Our consciousness, like,
we're paying as much taxes on as you are.
Yeah, and we shouldn't be how does the government have the right to tax this any differently
than
than
any
anything
other
else?
product.
And they do, because we have to have oversight on it. Well,
Because they
really, no,
realize the
if you're making
numbers and
this
the
legal, you really don't have to have oversight on it. Let's stop this war on drugs. Everything that you see a war on is really just a profit maker for somebody up top. The war on drugs, somebody gets rich off of fighting the war on drugs. War on terror, somebody gets rich for fighting the war on terror.
yeah.
Look and see who are people in Senate and Congress are investing their money in, and then see what they're writing the laws about, and you'll see what the corruption really is. It's not just follow the money. It's simple.
Follow the money.
It's
It
simple to
literally,
see.
it's monopoly all over. Follow the money, and you'll see who's winning, who's losing, and who's doing what. But at this
100%.
point, who has been your support system through all of your trials, tribulations, your journey, and who's been there for you through it all?
My family has been, my number one thick and thin through everything. I love them so much. They are fantastic. I'm blessed to have a very tight knit family. Honestly, as crazy as it sounds, probably my ex-wife, one of the, don't get me wrong, we had a spot when we were splitting up that it was awful, but like throughout life when we were there, she's one of the biggest foundations in helping me and supporting me. And honestly, like her actually finally deciding she'd have enough of my bullshit and leaving was like the biggest wake up call ever for me. So grateful for that. I've got some fantastic friends. We just actually started an awesome little group locally, the Conscious Collective, and it's like having a home of people who just believe the way I do. And I am, so thrilled to have found my soul tribe, my soul family, really. And, it's just been, there have been so many people along the way, but my family and my close friends have really been good for me. And, honestly, I thank myself more than anything, because I finally built up the courage to look inward and see that everything is me. And everything in my life comes from me, and everything, I'm the only one who has the power to change anything. I'm the only one who has the power to do anything about it. So all those people were there to support me, with the realization that everything comes from within yourself is the most powerful and profound realization you can make, because you can change it. You can better your life. You can heal yourself. You can do all these things. I healed myself from diabetes. I healed myself from PTSD. I did the work to do that. Had a great support system along the way that supported me in everything that I did. But realistically, no one can do anything for you but you. No one. And you have to make those steps. You have to be willing to face your fear. At some point, the uncomfortability is more uncomfortable than the fear. And you got to make that decision. I don't want to live a life of fear. I don't want to be in pain like this. I want to change. And that the intent itself is enough. You're a powerful being. You have a soul. You're connected to everything. And when you decide that you want things to be different, and you make that conscious intent to change, that's when everything starts changing for you. Because your mind is the most powerful thing in the world. It creates everything in your existence. Your mind, your feelings, your heart, mind, body, soul. And when you start working on all of that together, that's when your life starts changing.
You're
All
right.
for the better.
You're 100% right. One of my favorite mottos is, no one's going to love me better than me.
100%.
And I've got to love me before I can love others, because if I'm not loving me, then there's no room to give to others. And then I find myself being a cranky.
I get that. We all forget sometimes, son of a bitch. But that's the absolute truth. It's like, you've got to give that love to yourself first, and then it makes giving it to everyone else so much easier.
Because when you're not loving yourself, you walk around with a chip on your shoulder that everyone notices, and it's not a good one.
100%.
So yeah, just it's been amazing talking with you. I'm so geeked about these classes. I'm really more geeked about the podcast show because I'm here in Michigan, so I get to watch that from afar.
Heck yeah.
I'm super excited about your dispensaries. If I'm ever out that way, I'm definitely gonna go and shop and stop and support. But
Yeah,
yeah, I would love to have you back on in the future. I look forward to doing more follow ups with you and maybe even coming on your podcast show.
that would be awesome. I'd love to have you on.
Well, alrighty then. Thanks for joining the 420 Smoke Room. Until next time, everyone, I'll see you later.